And vibration in modern science is all-pervading. So we have within the molecules, we have the electrons and stuff moving around at different speeds. So we have electrons there, and then the electrons and the things form into atoms, and the atoms form into molecules, and the molecules are also moving. They're all vibrating. Like that. And then the molecules get together, and for our human body, we get different organs of the body made of molecules. They're also vibrating at a certain rate. So interestingly enough, some people have studied the vibrations in your body. So each organ actually ends up with different type of vibration. So you can tell when the organ is healthy and when the organ is unhealthy by its vibration, despite how it moves in the body. So they figured out the frequencies of different organs of your body. And they've also figured out that if they can somehow adjust those frequencies, if you're unhealthy, you can bring the organs back to good health. So they did a whole type of medicine based on vibration of the body and how to readjust the vibration. So it's called biofeedback. So this was early in the 1900s. Dr. Rife was one person who used frequency to cure diseases with. So that's a very subtle type of sound, we can say. If you attach some instruments to your brain, they can measure your brain waves. And in different states of consciousness, your brain has different types of waves. So, of course, in Vedic and in Bhagavad philosophy, we have the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and then, of course, we have the liberated state also. So they actually all are different brain vibrations. We can measure it in terms of the brain frequency of the vibration of the brain. The waking state is the most active one. Then we have the alpha state, which is like almost a dream state like that, very relaxed state. And then we have the light sleep and the deep sleep state like that. So in science they have that. Besides that, your thoughts and feelings emanate vibrations in your brain also. So you can actually read with computers, they can read your thoughts and your emotions now. So they can spy on your mind. They can understand what you're thinking now. They can read your brain, your thoughts. They can also do the opposite. They can put waves back into your brain. So they can make you think things also. So this is what modern science has done. They've advanced that much. Besides that, we have vibrations of the earth. So these have been measured. There's something called the Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. That's the vibration, the healthy vibration of the earth. And if the earth is vibrating at that rate, very good. If it's off that rate, then earth is not doing so well. So it's very well known in science. It's all pervading. Everywhere on the earth we have this vibration coming out like this. And thus, we have certain spots on earth which are considered to be very sacred, because people understand that these places actually have a better atmosphere than other places. So in India they call these places Kirtans. So you have many famous places, and if you go to those places you get a very special feeling which we cannot describe in words, but actually is because of these vibrations of the earth, partly. Very, very sacred. And not only in India, other parts of the world. The very primitive societies that we call the cavemen, they discovered these sites and they built huge monuments over these sites, like Stonehenge in England and different places around Europe in ancient times. They built stone monuments over these sacred places because they found they were very special. So let's say earth vibrations. We have specialized sound vibration in the form of music. Music is not random sound. It is a very specific frequency of sound. 4 different notes which are mathematically, the frequencies are related to each other. So we can think of music, we don't really think of it in that terms, but it's also a mathematical science. So you can very accurately get your vibrations according to science also. And this way we can have the proper notes in music. So the vibrations themselves are arranged in a certain way, and they also have certain qualities to them. Actually, in Indian music, they name the different notes, sa, re, ga, etc., and each is related to something in nature. So one is the cuckoo's sound. The fifth note is the song of the cuckoo. One is the bellowing of the elephant. Another is the cry of the crane, like this. So all the sounds are actually related to sounds, natural sounds of the animal world, or the bird world, animal world. Particular frequencies. They've also related the sounds to the chakras. So they actually influence your body. Certain vibrations of sound will affect different parts of your body, from the Muladhara chakra up to the Sahasrara chakra. So they have an effect on your health and also on your spiritual life. That's the notes of the scale. Like that. So in this way, the people have arranged healing through sound, also using the chakra sounds to heal the different chakras of the body, and consequently the organs of the body associated with that particular chakra. When the notes of music combine, they form music. The notes by themselves are just notes, but they combine in certain ways with certain rhythmic patterns. This becomes music. But the music is of different varieties. Some music has a very good effect, and some music has a very bad effect on plants, for instance. So plants don't have a nervous system. They don't have a brain. They don't have senses. But they understand music. So if you play nice classical music, the plants grow very nicely. And if you have very harsh, rhythmic, loud music, like rock music, they don't grow at all, and they may even die. So that's plants, what to speak of animals or human beings. So the music that you hear affects you physically. It may affect your growth. So if small children have the wrong music around all, they won't grow properly. Just by music, because of the sound of the music. So very, very strong influence. It's the notes of the scale arranged in a certain way. So they did experiments on animals like little mice. Tokyo University, they did this. The mice had an operation, and then they played different types of music to see how they would heal. So those that had the relaxing music and the classical Western music, they healed quickly. Those that got the loud and uncontrolled rock music, etc., they actually did not recover. The mice didn't recover. The music was such that it destroyed their systems rather than healed their systems. So that's just on the mice. And they did other experiments with the mice, and they found that if you play classical music very softly, the brains improve. The mice become more intelligent. And if you play the loud rock music, the brains deteriorate. And in fact, those mice began to kill each other. When they got 2 weeks of loud rock music, after that, they started eating each other up. So that's the effect of music on animals. Very profound effect on their minds, their behavior, their growth, their intelligence. So music, very powerful. And they're not even really thinking beings, not highly developed. So what to speak of the effect on the human being? So they've also done experiments on human beings. And they found that if you have soft classical music, it repairs the system. And you can get cured quickly. More than if you don't have any music. Or if you have bad music, then it creates problems for you. What the loud music does is it creates a stress hormone in the body called cortisol. And that cortisol is good for temporary excitement, but in the long term, it destroys your body. So not good. No, not. Yeah. So if you continually have a lot of loud music, it may be it's good for excitement, so it's good for sports, good for cricket games, loud music, everyone gets very excited, or football games in America, they have this loud music, or for armies, they have marching bands, bang, 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 march, 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 and it makes them all enthusiastic to fight, so it's good. But in long terms, it's not good, because it becomes very addictive. You always have to have this exciting music with you. And it also is very bad because it destroys your body. The cortisol destroys your body. So it's not very good for your health at all. It has very negative effects on your health. So that's the effect of that loud music and whatever. So music is very, very powerful. So sound in general can be used as a weapon. And some governments in the world, they develop weapons that they can use against people. Just using sound. They use certain sounds and they make you sick. They make you paralyzed. They make you panic or whatever. Just by sound. So the sound in general, very, very powerful. It has a very powerful effect on the body. We can also divide it into rajas and sattva and tamas. So we know that tamasic things are very destructive. Rajasic things are very exciting. Sattvic things are very peaceful. So music can be divided into that type of music. Sattvic music it heals the body, peaceful, maintains the body. Rajasic music will make you very excited. And tamasic music will destroy the body. So you have to watch very carefully what type of music you hear. Just in terms of gunas. Usually we think of sound, okay, it goes into your ear like this. But actually, sound has a shape as well. The notes of the scale have a shape. And they've invented a machine like this called the cymatic machine. It's simply a little plate that vibrates at a certain frequency according to the note of the scale. And they put some sand on it, on the plate. Then it turns into patterns, as you see, like this, according to the note. So each note has different pattern to it. So it's not only a sound, it's got a shape to it. Each note has a shape to it. So you can actually record a song or a music, whatever, and you can see the changing shape of that music also with this cymatic machine. And they've done that. You can look on YouTube and you can find examples of the sound and how it's changing shape according to the notes of the thing like that. Very, very interesting. It can be done with water, it can be done with sand, etc. Then we have yantra. Yantra is actually a physical or a two-dimensional diagram of a mantra. And a mantra is sound. So the sound is transformed into a visual mechanism for meditation. So that's what a yantra is. So it is just like we have the notes of the scale turning into a pattern. So we have yantras. They're the pattern of the mantra, the physical pattern of the mantra. So the sound can be expressed in many ways, not just with the ear, but with the physical, two-dimensional or even three-dimensional figure like this. So we have many yantras available. And interestingly enough, these yantras actually, not only they represent the mantra, they also represent the universe. So the whole thing is the universe with the dvipas within it, which are like lotuses. And in the center is Mount Meru, if you look in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam. And, of course, the universe is very symmetrically laid out. So we have a whole geometry, they call sacred geometry of the universe. And it's also, the galaxy is laid out according to mathematical principles. There's a formula behind the shape of a galaxy, which is the same as the shape of a seashell, or the pattern on a pine cone or a sunflower. It's all very geometrically laid out. Well, in India we have ragas, which are combinations of the sounds or the notes of the scale, which are used to form melodies. So they describe in the scriptures, the musical scriptures, they'll describe each raga according to the notes, sa, re, ga, etc. And then they will describe the form of the raga with a Sanskrit verse. And that form of the raga usually describes a person. So it may be a male or female. They may be dark in complexion. They may be golden. They may be white. They may be holding a flower in their hand or something like this. So each raga has a personality and a form to it also. So that combination of sounds has a form also. So this is the Hindola raga. The Hindola is a certain raga, and it's a swing actually. So there we have the form there. It's Krishna on a swing. That's the Hindola raga, illustrated. And very important, sound forms words, sabda. And sabda produces knowledge. So we know that the Vedas are sabda, very important type of sound, because they give us knowledge. Yeah? However, in the material world, we have another type of sound. That is the sound you hear with this ear. And the scientists will say that it's caused by vibrations of air molecules that hit your eardrum, which vibrates, and this goes to a little bone, and that connects to a nerve someplace, and goes into your brain, and then you hear sounds. So that's scientific definition of sound. And then that could be music, it could be words, etc. But based on this, we get our normal material knowledge through words. Words form sentences. Sentences form paragraphs. They're logically related to each other. We think about it, and we get knowledge that way. So a very, very important type of sound, that's words, because we get even material knowledge from it. The Vedic conception of sound is a little bit different. It's not the sound that we're thinking of, and the ear is not the ear we're thinking of, because this sound does not go through air. It goes through ether, which is not defined in modern science at all. It's not the air, definitely. So it's not air molecules at all. The sound goes through ether, which is a very subtle material element. And it goes in your ear. And the ear actually is not this ear. It's a different ear, which goes out of your body when you die and goes to your next body. So it's a very subtle ear. So that's where you pick up your sound. And then this is the gross manifestation also. So sound is a little more complicated according to the Vedic perspective than we think. It's not going through the air, it's going through the ether. And it's not just any sound, it's sound that conveys meaning. Yeah? So it conveys the idea of an object. So it gives us information about something. That's what real sound does. And therefore very, very important for us. Yeah. And then on its higher level, we get spiritual sound. The Vedas. Shabda. The Vedas are said to be the breathing of Vishnu. They're non-different from the Supreme Lord himself. So they're not even material. Even though we can hear it with the ear, it's actually non-material. It's spiritual sound. So it's a very peculiar form of sound. So the Vedas themselves glorify sound. They glorify the syllable Om. So the different Upanishads, like Katha Upanishad, they describe the syllable Om, and they glorify it as non-different from Brahman or the Supreme Lord. So it's a very simple sound, but it's considered to be the essence of the whole universe. Very, very sacred. And non-different from Vishnu, because he is the source of everything. And it's from Om that we get the first expansion as Gayatri Mantra. And then Gayatri Mantra expands into 4 Vedas. So all the 4 Vedas are in that one little syllable Om, which sounds very innocent, but it's got everything in it. So sound is very, very mysterious. It's not, we cannot analyze this materially. Within that one sound we have the whole 4 Vedas. Within that Om sound we get the whole creation of the universe. So there's Chandogya Upanishad also glorifies Om as being the essence of everything. So very, very strong glorification of that mantra. So we know that Vishnu creates the material universe using his Maya Shakti. He also dissolves the universe, and everything goes into him. And in this whole process, we have the Lord breathing, and we have sound manifest. So sound is integral to the whole universe. And in the Brahma Samhita, it's described how Brahma could not create anything, but when he was born, he meditated, and then he heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which became the Gayatri mantra. And it went into Brahma's ear. That was his Diksha. Huh? So he got Diksha from Krishna through the Vedic Gayatri mantra. Huh? And after this, then he was able to create the universe. Huh? So again, sound integral to the creation of our material universe. So after the whole Brahma Samhita, then Krishna says, I've bestowed my powers on you. You now possess the necessary powers for creation. O Brahma, now create the bodies for the living entities in this universe. So that the mantra was the medium of giving Shakti to Brahma, so he could create bodies for the living entities. So, very, very powerful. Even modern science says that sound was inherent in the creation. We have a Big Bang. 30,000 years after the Big Bang, everything began to collapse into dark matter. And then it began to expand as sound, creating huge ripples. And then the universe is created out of that. So even in modern science, they say sound was integral to the creation of the universe. So we're more interested in the spiritual sound. The Vedas are spiritual sound. So the mantra is spiritual sound. The mantra, man means mind, tra means deliverance. It delivers your mind. Why? Because the mind is the source of your bondage in the material world. Your thoughts, your desires create karma for us, which bind us in the material world. So the mantra delivers you from all that. How can it do it? Because it is spiritual. It's not material sound. So the mantra comes from the spiritual world. Somehow it comes to the material world, and we can hear it with this ear. But it's actually spiritual sound, not material sound. It's explained in the Bhagavatam and other scriptures that spiritual sound is called para. It goes through a little transformation so that it is slightly detectable by your mind, and you're aware of something. It's called pasyanti. Then you can think about it. What was that actually? Is it this or is that? Whatever. And we intellectualize about it. It's called madhyama. And then we can actually say the sound and we know what it means. It's called vaikari. That's the verbal aspect. And we can hear that as well. So we have these 4 stages of spiritual sound gradually becoming audible so that we can hear it with the ear and speak it with the voice. But it doesn't lose its spiritual nature. It also progresses through the chakras, from the Muladhara chakra to the Manipuraka chakra to the Anahata to the Vishuddha chakra up here. Then you say the sound like that. So gradually ascends and it comes out here. Then it becomes sound as we think it is material, but it's not. So actually, it has all these layers in it. So when we hear the yellow part, the verbal. But below that, we got the para. That's the spiritual sound. It's still there. If a devotee speaks the mantra, then it's spiritual sound. If a materialist, then you only get that verbal aspect. So we need the para aspect there. So the devotee speaks it, the para aspect of spiritual sound is present. Even though we think it is material, it's actually spiritual. So sound, very, very mysterious. It looks like it's material, but actually it's spiritual. And then it comes from the spiritual world, attracted to the Atma, then it gradually manifests through the mind, intellect, comes up with the voice. Then we hear it. Again, what is that sound? We can analyze it. It goes backwards. It influences the Atma spiritually, and this will take us to the spiritual world. So this is why it's called mantra, because it frees us from the material world, frees us from material mind, takes us to the spiritual world. So that type of sound is very, very powerful. It comes from the spiritual world, takes us back to the spiritual world. So, apart from that, if we want to say, well, what is the effect of mantra, take the spiritual world, we cannot prove that scientifically, because we cannot even trace, its spiritual aspect, what to speak of going to the spiritual world or whatever. We can't detect that by science. But the mantra has material effects also. We know it is said in Padma Purana, Namachintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, etc., like this. So the name is non-different from Krishna, and it's called Chintamani because it can give you everything. Anything material, anything spiritual. So if you chant the mantra, it will have material effects also, not just spiritual effects. So they've done experiments, for instance, with the Gayatri mantra and other Sanskrit mantras. This is Glenn Ryan, PhD, somewhere in America, I guess. And they did experiments. People chant mantra, Gayatri mantra, Sanskrit mantras, and they found it actually improves your DNA in your cells. All the tangled up DNA, which causes bad health, gets untangled by chanting Gayatri mantra. That's a physical effect, which is measurable. Telomeres. On your chromosomes, you have these little tips. And these tips are very important. If they start deteriorating, then your chromosomes begin to deteriorate. Your DNA deteriorates, your cells deteriorate. Then you start getting old. You got health problems, you get diseases, whatever like this. And eventually you die. So you can measure the person's health by looking at the telomeres on the chromosomes. If they're nice and strong, okay, good health. If they're weak, it means you're not in good health. So then they thought, okay, let us see if we can repair the telomeres on people by different methods, and then we can measure it scientifically. We'll see a better, longer telomere, stronger telomere. Then it means it worked. So they tried different things. Vegetarian food, for instance, good, 3% increase. Walking every day, good, 3% increase. Yoga, doing simple yoga asanas every day, good effect, 3% increase, like this. What else they did? Simple meditation, sit down and be peaceful, meditate. Okay, 5% increase. They tried some other things, more complicated things like Qigong, which is a Chinese type of exercise. It was too difficult for the people. Didn't work so good because they had to memorize too many movements. They tried music. Music worked, 3% increase. Nice, soft music. Actually, they could measure it with the telomeres. They had meetings of people in a group, and they'd talk together. That also had a good effect on people, talking together. And then they tried kirtan. When kirtan, they got 43% increase in the telomeres. So it's very, very strong effect. That's a material effect, of course. So when your telomeres increase, that means better health, less heart problems, less diabetes, all these type of problems. Yeah? Much, much less. So it has physical, measurable physical effects. Very, very strong. 43%. Of course, we can say that's logically so because it actually combines many of these other things. For instance, a group of people, it has music in it, has mantra in it, all these things together combined because of a very, very strong effect. And so that is why kirtan is recommended as the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga. So these are physical effects. Gross physical effects. We got subtle effects on your mind, etc. They've done experiments with prayers and mantras, and they found that also very good. You get more relaxed, your breathing slows down, your peaceful mind, less stress, etc. So your gross body and your subtle body get the effects of mantra. What about the spiritual effect? We cannot measure that with science. But what we do, we can get the statements of Scripture. And Scripture tell us that actually the mantra is spiritual. It's not material. It can give material effects, as we see, but it's actually got a spiritual effect. So what is the mantra? It's non-different from the object. Krishna's name is non-different from Krishna. The nama and the namino abhinitva. They're non-different. So if you chant the mantra, what happens? You can realize the form of the mantra. It's Krishna. So we saw material form. Material sound had form. Each note of the scale had a form. The mantras had a form as a yantra. And if we use the mantra spiritually, then we can realize the spiritual form of Krishna. Why not? So, of course, we make it a little more complicated. Not only Krishna's name, we also have Radha's name. So we realize the form of Radha and Krishna when we say Hare Krishna. So we get bonus there. So, actually, the word Krishna in the scriptures is composed of two syllables, Krish and Na. Krish means the source of everything, cause of all causes, jamadasya yataha, etc. Sarvakarana karanam, aham sarvasya prabhavo. That's Krish, that's what Krish means. So it means he's most powerful, he's the cause of everything. And Na means the cause of all bliss. So this is the sweet aspect of Krishna. So Krishna is he who has all the power and all the sweetness. That's all in Krishna. So if you realize Krishna, what happens? You get the highest bliss. We also chant the name of Rama. Of course, Rama, we can think of Ramchandra, but our acharyas say it also means Krishna, who gives enjoyment to Radha. He is the giver of bliss to Radha. So it is another word which indicates bliss. He gives bliss to Radha and the devotees. That's Rama. We also chant the name Hare. And what is Hare? It is Hara. And who is Hara? Radha. And who is Radha? She is the Hladini Shakti of Krishna. Hladini is bliss Shakti of Krishna. So again, we get another bliss. The bliss Shakti of Krishna. That's Radha. So we have three words indicating bliss. So the whole, if you realize Krishna, then you can realize highest bliss. So it is a very, very exalted mantra, which is free for everybody. It is not secret at all. So it acts on all levels. The body, we see how mantras act on the body, and they can, telomeres can increase 43%, whatever. It acts on your mind, makes you nice and peaceful. And, of course, it also affects the jiva, the atma, by which we develop prema and bliss. So it acts on all levels. And it's just sound. Ultimately, it is sound. So it affects your DNA, it affects your chakras, affects the atma. All levels get affected by the mantra. So, unlike the Diksha mantras, which you get at second initiation, this is not secret at all. Everybody can chant the name of Krishna. And we tell everybody to chant it. Everybody can hear it. And not only that, you can sing it. You can sing it to melodies and with instruments, and you sing it together. So it's a very, very powerful sadhana for everyone. And Lord Chaitanya has particularly chosen the words Hare, Krishna, and Rama, which give the highest bliss in realization of Radha and Krishna. So, therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, though it is a very simple process and available to everybody, it also is the highest process. And it gives the highest bliss. So in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumar got a mantra from the Guru, a Krishna mantra, like Lord Chaitanya got from Ishwarapur, he got mantra or whatever. So that's the Diksha. And he chanted that mantra, and he was able to go to Svargaloka and higher lokas all the way to Brahma Loka, and he got to Shiva Loka, and then he got to Vaikuntha. And Narada Muni said, if you want to get to Goloka, you have to do Harinam. So they start chanting the name of Krishna. And then he got to Goloka. So in other words, to get to the highest stage, you chant the name of Krishna. That's the highest thing of all. So it's the most common thing because it's available to everybody, but it also gives the highest result. So this is the great treasure that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to us in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra. So by this we get to the spiritual universe, go beyond the material world, mantra frees us from everything, and we end up in the spiritual world, and we get the highest bliss in a relationship with Radha and Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Can you please explain us, like, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is completely spiritual and the mind is a material. And when we chant, it always goes in past and future. The mind only, what I hear is the mantra works when the mind and mantra goes together.
Yeah.
So, but at this time the ego is very strong, and it always, we identify ourselves with a different personality because of the different situation we go through the whole day. So in this situation, how we can very attentively hear and we can answer?
Well, that's why we have Kirtan. Then you don't have to think so much. So if you're not so good at controlling your mind in meditation, then we do Kirtan. And then you can just sing very loudly for Krishna. And then you don't have to think at all, really. You just think of the form of Krishna when you're chanting that song.
Japa, how we can work on japa?
Yeah, so generally we do both. We do the Kirtan, we do the Japa. And the Japa is for ourselves, the Kirtan's for ourselves and for others. So we do have to cultivate our own mind also. So Jiva Goswami also says that it's maybe a little difficult for some people to concentrate. That's why we have deities and deity worship. That's why we have Archana, so that you can engage yourself also in serving the deity. So, and if, of course, when you're doing your japa, you can also think of serving the deity, or you can think of the form of the deity, because some people find it very difficult, who is Krishna, and there's some description of the Bhagavatam, but I can't really meditate on that. But that at least you know the form of the deity. There's Krishna, there's Radha, there's Sita, there's Rama, etc. So it becomes easier for us to think of the Lord if we have deities. So we have some, aids for us to help us think of the Lord when we're chanting.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful class. Maharaj, through your presentation we came to know that it's a very simple science about the mantra. So Maharaj, from where does this Namaparad come into play?
Where does Namaparad come from?
Yeah.
Well, Namaparad, of course, is based on aparad itself, which are, we say, hostility. Like the demons, we say the demons, they don't like Krishna, they don't like devotees, they don't like bhakti. So that's the real aparadi. So if they can offend the name, they can offend Krishna, they can offend the devotees. So they become aparadis, in that sense, Namaparadis or Vaishnava aparadis. Hostility. Now, if we're devotees, we wouldn't expect them to have any hostility towards Krishna or the process of bhakti or the devotees, because we're voluntarily taking up the process to get to Krishna. So we don't expect that. But in the beginning stages, we may have ignorance. So some people are worshiping Krishna in their house, but they're a little unclear about who Krishna is. They may think maybe I merge into Brahman when I get to Krishna or whatever, because they don't have knowledge. So that's offensive also. But it's not so offensive because it's not done with hostility. If they're told, okay, that's not correct, then they correct themselves and they go on. So that aparad is not so bad. So the real aparad is when we have people like, they make a whole philosophy like the Mayavadis, that Krishna is fine, but actually he's a sattva-gun body. And we can meditate and serve Krishna when we're in the material world. But if we get liberation, we give him up and we merge in Brahman because he's material. So that's intentional offense. So that type of offense is very bad. Then we have the devotees who are practicing bhakti. And inevitably they may make some mistake or have some philosophical mistake. Not so bad because it can be corrected. But then some devotees, they may develop through association with Mayavadis and personalists, materialists, hostility towards the process of bhakti. It doesn't really work, it's exaggeration, it gives material results only, not spiritual, whatever, devotees are, pretenders or whatever like this. So that type is not good also. That's aparad again, because due to association with materialists, we may develop the same attitudes as materialists. So then that becomes aparad and very seriously injures the bhakti or destroys the bhakti. So that is the bad effect of aparad. If it's got some malicious intent or lack of faith, and we insult Krishna, the devotees, or the process of bhakti in the holy name, then it injures the bhakti. So it's very inadvisable. So that's why we say don't associate with asat people.
Last question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, how can we minimize the effect of material sound which we hear anyway? Like, we are bound to hear whenever we go out of devotional environment. We are bound to hear material sound which are going to manifest anyways sooner or later. So how can we minimize the effect of material sound?
Well, some material sound we avoid, like prajalpa, things like that we try to avoid as much as possible because it can lead us into all sorts of bad thoughts, etc. Other sounds, of course, we can dovetail for Krishna. So material objects in themselves are not bad, but it's how we use them. So we can use things for Krishna. We use a car, we can use it for Krishna. We use sound, we can use it for Krishna. We can think of a sound of a bird, we can think of it in relation to Krishna or whatever like that. So it's not necessarily bad, but some things are usually bad, and usually when it involves people who are asat, materialists, and the sound comes from them in the form of their conversations, this may be very detrimental. So we try to avoid talking to those people.
Guruji, Hare Krishna. Guruji, we have always been told that Shri Krishna is an avatar of Vishnuji. Like, Shri Krishna is an avatar of Vishnuji. Like, we have always been told this, and that's why many people still believe so. But recently I read on this website, and even according to some ISKCON Guruji that I watched a video on YouTube, that Shri Krishna is not the avatar of Vishnuji. So what's your say on this?
Oh, yeah. Well, in one sense, when we talk about he's an avatar of so-and-so or whatever, they're all eternal anyway. Rama's eternal, Rishama is eternal. So who comes from who? Since they're all eternal, doesn't really matter in that sense. However, we do have a hierarchy. We have all the forms of God who are eternal, or actually one person with many forms. That's Bhagavan. Still, some of the forms show more qualities, some show less qualities. For Kapila Dev, it was a sage. He's a Bhagavan, but he just showed qualities of a sage. What did he do? He taught his mother about bhakti, karma, yoga, jnana. So he showed less powers. Veda Vyas, what does he do? Records the Vedas, writes the Puranas. So he shows some powers, but not so much power. What is it? Dhanvantari. What does he do? He reveals Ayurveda. Doesn't do much else. Others show a little more qualities. Some kill a few demons this way, that way. Then we get more powerful avatars like Varaha. He lifts up the whole Bhumandala out of the Garbhodak ocean. So a lot of power there. And finally we come to the very powerful ones. So they're called Purna Avatar. So we have Narasimha, Rama, and then we have Krishna. So they show extraordinary powers and qualities. And of those three, Krishna manifests all the qualities to the highest extent. And he shows 4 extra qualities of sweetness that the others don't show. So therefore we put Krishna at the top and we call him Swayam Bhagavan as the source of all the other forms. But they're all eternal and they're all one person actually.
Hare Krishna. So Jayapata Maharaj has a time to come, Ines. So we have some question answer session. Who all like question answer session for another 10 minutes? So might be after the books. So if Jayapata Maharaj is not there, then we can have 5-10 minutes. So here are books about Harinam Chintamani, about Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Very nicely explained. Who all read this book already? Fully. Raise your hands. 1, 2. Only 2 people. 3. So very nice books. Very, very wonderful. As a devotee who was chanting 16 rounds.
On the offenses.
10 offenses.
All your offenses.
So it will be wonderful. All the offenses will be clear. Then it's go to Prema level is easy or Suddhanam will be easy. Only 4 copies. Who all want to take? Then give the cash afterwards to him. Not now also if you have. 1, 2. You are chanting? How many rounds? 3 rounds. Price is 120. Come. Come and get it, please. 4 people. Anyone, Mataji? Come. 1 Mataji, 3 devotees. You also. 4 sold out. Next is there.
You were selling Gitas before, yeah? You're still doing?
Come quickly. Next, 4. And next is Upanishads. It's about that Upanishads. There are 5 books together. This is a principal Upanishads where Sankaracharya took. This is very nicely explained. Vaishnava. So interpretation is there, very beautiful. So if you want to take, you can take it and give money in installment also. This 5 books cost only 1,000 rupees. Only 2 sets available. Anyone? You can pay later. It's there. And then some Caitanya Mahakavya. And then Bhagavad Sandarbha is there. Those who want can get it. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. It's 530 rupees about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahakavya. It's a beautiful poet about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only 1 book left. 540. It's taken from this bookstall. And then Gaura Ganadeshilpa, Radha Ganadesha Deepika. Each 140 and 90. Those who want can take it. This also. Anyone? Last one. Gaura Ganadesha Deepika. Okay. 2 books you want? This one. Okay. Just to encourage, we can say Hari Bol. So, that's it. And then anyone else? That's all? Which book? Question. Apart from that, any books? That's all. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, any one question?
Can I ask?
Next question. So, once Jayapata Maharaj enters, we have to stop it and we have to leave.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj. Maharaj is associating with the devotees who follow this new theory called Ritvik theory. Is also a Mayavad, association with Mayavadi. If they are our family members even.
What if Mayavadis are your family members?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. Is Ritvikism, new theory called Ritvikism, that only one founder Acharya is there. Only one Acharya will be there, last Acharya. So is this theory a form of Mayavad? Ritvik theory. Is Ritvik theory a Mayavadi theory?
Mayavad means that the form of the Lord does not exist. Ultimately, Brahman has no form, no qualities, no activities. So the ultimate goal for the jiva is to merge in Brahman and become Brahman. And material world doesn't exist. Jivas don't exist. That's why it's called Mayavad, the theory of Maya. Everything is Maya except Brahman. Even jiva is Maya. So the whole process is to become Brahman. That's Mayavad philosophy.
My question was, there is a theory called Ritvikism, Ritvik theory.
What about it?
Ritvik theory, that it says that Srila Prabhupada is the only Acharya, no other Acharya will be there after him. So, is listening to those people or associating with them, because my family members are associated with Ritvik theory. Is that detrimental to my spirituality?
Well, it determines what they say. If they offend devotees or they offend the holy name of Krishna, then it becomes offense. If they don't do that, then not a problem. The difference, of course, is they say that only Diksha Guru is Prabhupada, and nobody else is a Diksha Guru. So that's the difference. And we say that there are many Diksha Gurus.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Janvi this side. Maharaj, I have a question. How can we be more determined towards our...
How more determined to?
How can we be more determined towards our Krishna consciousness?
Well, one, of course, is our sincerity to attain Krishna. That itself will give us determination. The other is, if we have good association with devotees who are very determined, it's easy for us to become determined. So that is why we always emphasize association of devotees, because we tend to pick up the same qualities. So in the Nectar Devotion that Rupa Goswami in the second part of the Eastern Wave, he says that people are like spatikas. Spatika is a clear crystal. And if we put the clear crystal near a red flower, it looks red. We put it near a blue flower, it looks blue. Put it near a green leaf, it looks green. So people are like that. They will pick up qualities through association very easily, just like a spatika. So we have to be very careful who we choose as our association. So when you choose weak devotees, we end up with weak bhakti. We choose strong devotees with determination, we end up with strong devotion. We also get determination, all the tolerance and other good qualities like that. We associate with materialists, we end up with material qualities, or we may end up as aparadhi. If they commit aparadhs, we commit aparadhs. So we have to choose our association very carefully. And with that sangha, then we also develop similar qualities.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please may I ask, thank you very much for revealing this beautiful science of sound to us. And my question was, Maharaj, like even earlier I have heard and I have experienced also these musical instruments, especially after hearing the mridanga. Sometimes there is sound like birds and sometimes like elephants. So I have seen that Surya Yantra. So I was very much interested to know this science. Thank you. I want to know more about this, especially the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and I want to know more in detail. So how may I know it?
More about what?
The Mahamantra and about music. About Mahamantra and music and how
well,
this...
music, you have to go to a music teacher, I think.
No, I mean to say the different levels of the sound,
the
spiritual
sound.
to... Yes.
Well, that you'll find in the music texts, and even in simple texts that explain classical music, they'll explain the notes and where they come from. Each sound is a certain animal, etc., like that. So look on the internet, also it'll be there.
And the different levels of sound coming from the spiritual strata to like the purport of Srila Prabhupada on the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it begins this transcendental sound vibration. So Prabhupada is telling something about the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and different levels, and he says that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra surpasses all these. So I wanted to understand the different levels.
Different levels
of the sound.
Well, like the para and the Madhyama.
Yes.
That's in the Bhagavatam, actually, in Vishwanath's commentary in 11th canto. He explains that. Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary in 11th canto.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the class. Maharaj, you told about the mantra, the healing powers, the spiritual powers of what lies in the mantra. But then when we hear Krishna Katha, which is not a specific mantra, but the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. And even if it is in Vaikhari Vani, that is ordinary mundane sounds, it is said, Tadvag Visargo. Yeah. So that also has the same effect, the soothing, it purifies our heart and then it gives all that. So is it like anything spiritual, anything when we talk about Lord becomes a mantra?
So this is part of Sravana. Sravana is a hearing. So this is a part of bhakti. So what do we hear? We hear Bhagavatam. We hear about the form of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, etc. So this is all part of bhakti. And it has the same effect. It's non-different from the Lord. Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. You hear the Bhagavatam, we can realize Krishna. Hear the pastimes of Krishna, you can realize Krishna. So it's just like the name. Hear the name, you can realize Krishna, form, qualities, activities. Hear Bhagavatam, you can realize form, qualities, activities of Krishna also. But name is Yuga Dharma. This is the main sadhana for us. Along with that, we do the hearing process, we hear the activities. Together, they become very powerful.
And Maharaj, some mantras, like they are chanted in the mind itself, like you told about Gayatri mantra, Diksha mantras, they are not pronounced, but yet they have the same effect and we see the changes. So where does sound come in between there?
There's also sound.
Subtle sound.
Yeah, the mantra is sound, but you can have a manasik, or it can be slightly audible, or it can be fully audible.
Thank you, Maharaj.
It's coming 10, 15 minutes. Anyway, question, I guess.
The question will be go for another 10 minutes. Maharaj coming later.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This was the first time. It was a very nice presentation from known to the unknown, scientific to the spiritual. Very nice. So I was interested in knowing this, that in Kali Yuga many people are sinful. In NOD we are studying. Many people even are deaf. They cannot hear. So you were talking about subtle ear. Right, and there is another sloka, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langate girim. So, so a person who is deaf, so how can he be affected? He cannot hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So how will he be benefited by this, or how can we help him in this situation?
Well, the only way probably is to activate that subtle ear, so you can hear with that ear. But that is also a material ear, by the way. It's not a spiritual ear. So spiritual sound, of course, is completely different. If he doesn't have the sound capacity, whatever, but maybe he has a visual capacity or other capacity, then depending on those, through studying, reading, etc., then he gets the knowledge, the same as spiritual again. So he develops, when he develops his spiritual body and sees Krishna, he can also hear Krishna, because it's not related to the material body at all. So then he can have spiritual hearing at that stage. Before that, maybe not possible, but at least he can use his other senses and engage those and develop himself spiritually.
And another question, like Prabhuji was telling us about alpha and beta levels. So in alpha level, that is dreaming stage, kind of. So when we are chanting, we suddenly go to sleep. That means we're actually in a very relaxed state.
Well, the sleep state is an ignorant state. Okay. If we have the alpha state as a meditative state, it's very close to the samadhi state. So that's a positive state. So it's not the same thing as the sleep state, which is the ignorant state. Or we can say it's the turiya state, the fourth state. Okay. So that state's very positive if we get the samadhi state or realization state. The state where we go to sleep and we are not conscious at all, that's the ignorant state. So that's not good.
So how do we develop the awakened stage? Like we can clearly hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Part of it is get enough sleep. And have good health so that your body is not always, so that you can get good sleep also. The other is not to overeat too much, which again cause sickness or whatever like that. So if you can keep your body in good shape, then your mind generally is in good shape, and you have enough sleep, then you should be attentive enough.
Thanks a lot.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much Maharaj for the class. Maharaj, you told that there are some places on the planet which have very good vibrations.
Yeah.
Also the holy dham, and outside India also there are some places which are not holy, but they have good vibrations.
Yeah.
So Maharaj, how we can identify those places? Is there any? They have some qualities, some characteristics, we can identify them. Like Delhi seems to be unholy and inauspicious everywhere, outside the temple especially. So Maharaj, that potent places.
Well, we find in scriptures, they give us good indications because they give us the holy places, the Kirtans. So then, obviously, they're very special because of that, and they're glorified in the Puranas. You go to this place, you get purified of your sins, etc. So they're very, very powerful places. Even the Ganga River is very powerful to purify you, sin, etc. So we have many places like that which are mentioned in scriptures. So scriptural, so we don't have to speculate about it. Other places, people could, if they have sensitivity, they could, pick up the mood of the place or whatever and understand its spiritual nature if one has that type of consciousness or whatever. So it's possible on your own, but we can go by scripture and do that. Unfortunately, then, the other problem is that the tirthas also get contaminated. They become commercialized, they get polluted or whatever. So it may be very difficult to penetrate all that pollution to actually get the spiritual experience. But if we have proper consciousness, even then we can, get the spiritual effect.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, if someone has a bad samskara because of indulging in more sinful activities, so when it takes to spiritual life, especially when chanting the holy name, that bad impression does not allows him to chant properly, or he gets to a sub-stage, like it's kind of all this activities which he has done, it comes into mind. So generally he feels helpless to chant, and I don't feel like so. I've heard from many devotees these things. So in this, and then after some time they lose faith that Hare Krishna Mahamantra will not help me to come out of this, because they're experiencing that samskara is repeating also. So in this condition, how one should take to the spiritual, how one should be guided, and how
Well, we hear from the scripture that the process of bhakti, any type of bhakti, is kleshagni. It destroys your karma, it destroys your bija, which is the desires, and it destroys avidya, ignorance, which is the source of your desires. So this is what bhakti does. Then it starts with sadhana. But it operates more quickly on some persons and very slowly on other persons, according to the way in which they practice the bhakti. That's one thing. The other, of course, is that you may have more piles of negative karmas, etc., which make it more difficult. However, Bhagavad says that even the person with the worst karmas, like the dog eater, if he chants the holy name purely once, he destroys all of his karmas immediately. And he's qualified to do what a brahmana does. So in other words, everything is gone. All the bad samskars, all the karma is completely finished. His birth as a chandala or as a mletsha or whatever is completely finished in 1 second, if he chants purely once. So the quality of our bhakti also is important, not just do the bhakti, but how we do the bhakti is important. And if we do it properly, then it has a very powerful effect and a very immediate effect.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, we heard in lectures, Srila Prabhupada said the third generation of ISKCON will take this movement to great heights. So this is about the astrology of ISKCON. And the second generation will be just able to maintain the temples. It will be sufficient if they can somehow maintain the temples. Maharaj, how much depth is there in this statement of Srila Prabhupada? How much depth? I mean, is it true? I mean, like third generation will take the movement to a great height.
Did he say that anyway?
I heard in lectures, Maharaj.
You heard it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear it, but anyway. But if the devotees are sincere, then of course it can happen.
Yes, Maharaj.
Nothing is impossible in bhakti. So if devotees are sincere, they can do a lot. Okay. And of course that's what we hope, that the more the time passes, the more the devotees increase, and then the more potency they have, and the more they can do.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaji, how to balance between astrology and Krishna consciousness. I mean to say, like we know that we are not so much pure that we want to depend on Lord, but we see that when we try to go in that direction and neglect some things in our life, that the other things start failing, and our faith on Lord starts decreasing. And then, as we know that we are not pure, the three modes are acting on us. So astrologically things are working. So how to balance in this situation? When we
basically you're saying it's not so much astrology, it's karma, is it? Your karma instead of the karma. How do you balance it? Well, bhakti destroys the karma if it is done properly, effectively. So therefore, all the bad effects should go away. And it's one of the first effects of bhakti. Now, of course, our goal is not to destroy karmas. Our goal is to please Krishna. So, if we make our goal to somehow please Krishna with great affection, that should actually destroy all your karmas, improve your situation automatically without asking for anything or expecting anything, or even being attached to it once it comes, we get the good effect or whatever. So, if you practice bhakti very sincerely with great affection for Krishna, then this is the most effective way of counteracting all of your doshas in your astrology or all your bad karmas or whatever. So in astrology, your bad karmas will be symptomized by some bad planets like Shani or Mangal or whatever in the wrong place, Mars in the 7th or Saturn in the 10th house or in the ascendant. So they cause a lot of problems for people, or Rahu in the ascendant or whatever like this. So that's the astrological thing. So what is the solution? There's a Devata behind those planets. You could worship the Devata, but we don't like to worship Devatas. Then we have avatars. So for Mars we have Narasimha Dev. And if you got a bad mind, weak moon, which will cause you all not able to concentrate, avatar is Krishna. And if you have a weak sun, which will cause you not good position in terms of fame or business or whatever, then you can worship Ramchandra. Like this. So for all the planets we have avatars you can also worship, and you have a lot of them here also. So that you can use, or you can just chant Krishna's name, same, and you can get rid of all the bad karmas that way.
Maharaj, just in addition to that, we know this, but we are not able to practice purely also. Mm-hmm. Even we are chanting and doing all spiritual activities. Yeah. Our chanting and our all activities are not pure also. Yeah. Then that effect is not coming, which
so,
you are.
All we can do when we're in sadhana bhakti, we're not pure. The only pure is prema. That's not sadhana. That's the result of sadhana. So to get to that state, we have to start with impurity. We're not doing perfectly. We cannot completely control the mind. We have anarthas, etc. Bad karmas, whatever. But we do the process to the best of our ability, with sincerity. And then Krishna makes arrangements for us to improve. So we just keep endeavoring in that direction. If we don't endeavor, then of course nothing happens. So you have to endeavor, but if you do it, abhyasa enritukonteya vairugjanita grihite. You can control the mind, you control all the things, if you practice. So if we do the bhakti properly, practice properly, then we get the result.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I have heard that like even if we are performing devotional service and if we are not aware about our sambandha gyan, then we cannot get the result.
We get some result.
Yes, but not the exact result.
We don't get
yes. So Maharaj, like how we can become aware of our sambandha gyan, like when we are performing devotional service, devotional activities. Yes. So how we can be aware about our sambandha gyan in the background?
Well, it's very easy. If you read the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, which is 20 pages long, You got Sambandha Gyan.
Thank you, Maharaj.
If you want detailed Sambandha Gyan, then you read Bhagavad Sandarbha, Paramount Sandarbha, and Krishna Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami, but that's more complicated. If you just want it, then read the rest of the Bhagavad Gita. That also gives you Sambandha Gyan. But if you can't even do that, just read the 25 pages in the beginning. You get Sambandha Gyan there also.
But Maharaj, like how we can become aware about it while performing devotional activities?
Well, in other words, when we're serving Krishna, then we have to read the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, and there it says Krishna Swayam Bhagavan. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not a Devata. He's not material body. That much you understand. Yeah? And then we worship him with devotion, and we don't try to mix material desires when we're worshiping Krishna, trying to get material things from him. That's all.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is, whenever we want to join any organization or whenever we want to follow certain things, so we need a strong motivation in our life, and Prabhupada is such a strong motivation towards everybody's path. So my question is related to him only. It has been said that whenever we are getting distracted by something, then it has been said that come to the temple or go somewhere where you can associate with yourself with the devotees. Prabhupada went alone to the Americans at that time, and he was all around with the hippies. But he didn't came out to be one among them. But and the result was that he changed all of them. My question is that what was that aura? What was that determination apart from this thing that Krishna was helping him? The question is, I didn't get a chance to feel that aura, but you people have felt that aura. So I want to know deeply, what is that aura and determination? And so that made him possible to achieve everything which he wanted.
Well, he explains that whatever I've done is because I followed the order of my guru. That's all. So he had great faith in that order. Yeah? And as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he first met him, said, you try to preach to the English-speaking public. So then he made that his goal of his life. And he started translating books into English. Then he went to America because of that order, and he started preaching there. So he simply tried to follow the order, and he said, I'm a puppet in Krishna's hand. And then he got results.
But there has to be something for example, I also take something as a challenge that I will definitely do this thing and do that thing. Distraction are certain and they are bound to come to us. We are not that much great like him, but still, even not a 1% we get to achieve. And how was he able to achieve it fully or 100%?
Well, this is, we say, is the mercy of Krishna. Krishna acts through a devotee who's very sincere.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, we have read in Srila Prabhupada books in purports, Prabhupada emphasized on hearing the sound when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yeah. And not to artificially meditate on the pastimes of Lord or his form. But at the same time, when we refer to Goswami literatures and Purvarti Acharyas, we sometimes get instructions for meditating on the form of Lord and on the pastimes. And when we chant Maharaj, sometimes it really becomes difficult to not to think anything and chant. And that time we actually enter into thinking about Lord and meditating, and that makes it little pleasing and blissful. But then we think, oh, is it I am going against the parampara, or is it like I am crossing this thing, so I should come back? But then it is difficult. So how to overcome that struggle?
Well, in the Nectar Devotion there in the beginning, in the introductory section there, one of the verses there, that there's only 2 rules in devotional service. Always think of Krishna. Never forget him. So therefore, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you should think of Krishna. Don't think of Maya. The whole idea of thinking of chanting Hare Krishna, so you can... Mantra means control the mind. So how you can control the mind? Thinking of nothing? So we chant Krishna's name to think of Krishna, obviously. And then when you do think of Krishna, it becomes non-different from... Name becomes non-different from Krishna. You realize Krishna. So we do have to think of Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
I think did he come? Okay. Hare Krishna.
So the temple, Maharaj, the temple is taking one coffee.
Oh, he's taking.
He's taking. That's Mohan Rupa. Mike. Mohan Rupa, bro. You can say Hari Bol to Prabhu. Hari Bol.
हरे कृष्णा, ये किसी डिवोटी का बीट बैग यहाँ पे मिला है, तो अगर आप किसी का खुआ है तो आप ले सकते हैं। यहाँ पे व्यास आसन के पास में एक ग्रे कलर का बीट बैग है। हरे कृष्णा।
His Holiness जयप्रताप स्वामी महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की।
To sit 5 feet away.
5 फुट